Hey guys, what's up? Okay, that was kind of weird. But today I will be showing you all of my supplementary essays of how I got to CMU. Hopefully this helps, and I will also do a deep debrief of all my essays, my reflections, and tips and tricks that you should incorporate in your essays. So let's get started. All right. Okay, so let's start with my first supplementary essay, which is most students choose their intended major or area of study based on a passion or inspiration that's developed over time. What passion or inspiration led you to choose this area of study? 300 words maximum. Writing's not that easy. This sentence is grammatically correct, but it's wordy and hard to read. The moment I hear Grammarly playing before my YouTube video, I'll start looking for that skip button. However, isn't marketing all about that, grabbing the viewer's attention? I always thought marketing was just another synonym for advertisements until I started to prepare for DECA. I felt the need to delve deeper to succeed, prompting me to venture into the world of business literature. Books like Made to Stick and Permission Marketing became my all-time favorites as I learned the process of creating projects that are designed to go viral, and I connect these exemplars to occurrences that I've observed in my life. Working at a sushi restaurant has taught me firsthand how crucial consumer behavior is in crafting effective marketing strategies. Observing customers' preferences for certain items over others based on packaging or even naming reveals the impact of psychological cues on purchasing decisions. It's intriguing to note the willingness of customers to pay a premium for two seemingly similar items with contrasting narratives. Vanilla ice cream, a timeless classic, and Coco's Snowstorm Sundae, a whimsically named creation with an intriguing backstory. Both are vanilla ice cream, except one has sprinkles. By tapping into emotions through storytelling in advertisements, marketing capitalizes on psychological triggers to create compelling offers. Recognizing these connections has equipped me to appreciate the nuanced ways they converge to influence my choices as a consumer. My journey in business and marketing extended beyond the constraints of DECA, propelling me into a continuous pursuit of knowledge. Even now, I find myself engrossed in reading books of all kinds. Surprisingly, I have also developed a peculiar fascination with advertisements, occasionally finding enjoyment in watching ads, even when the skip button pops up. Okay, so that concludes my first essay. Okay, so the analysis part. So let's start analyzing my first essay. Let's go. So I'm going to be looking down a bit because I got sticky notes and also my iPad. Yeah, okay. So as you know, the first topic for my supplementary essay is about passion or inspiration. And you probably have heard my essay already or read it. So something I really liked about what I liked about for my essay was I thought it was really creative. I basically started off my essay pretty strong by quoting a very famous line from the Grammarly ad. And I know recently, because like AI, ChatGPT and stuff, Grammarly ads aren't that popular anymore. But back in my days, yes, so maybe like 2020, 2021, I don't know, sometime around there, that Grammarly ads were everywhere. And every time you hear writing is not that easy, you know you're looking for that skip button. So I essentially started with something super relatable, and I think that's what hooked my admission officer to read the rest of my essay. Also, what I wanted to point out too is that I included real life examples. So I wasn't just like, oh yeah, I like marketing because marketing is cool. Also, it is psychological, psychology and marketing. Whoa. Yeah, I decided to include a lot of real life examples. For example, my experience with DECA and also my part-time job because business is basically real life applications you could apply into real life. And I wanted to show my admission officers that I'm not just, reading business textbooks, but I'm using the knowledge and applying it, or at least connecting the dots between the textbook and real life. And in real life, which is my part time job as a waitress at a sushi restaurant, I gave a more specific example. And I think that's what made it more real, or the detailed the better, essentially. And my example was comparing between a vanilla ice cream and a vanilla ice cream with sprinkles, but it's named Cocoa Snowstorm Sundae. So as you can see, with a specific detail or specific example, it could really elevate your essay writing. And also, I really liked the callback. I thought I was so smart with this essay because I ended off pretty strong, in my opinion, for this essay, talking about I started to grow a fascination of fascination of advertisements. Sorry, my brain lag. Fascination with ads, and sometimes I would actually watch the entirety of the ad instead of, waiting for the skip button to appear, which calls back to the beginning where I'm looking for that skip button because I hear the Grammarly ad. So yeah, so I really like this essay, and as you can see, if you are reading the screenshots, you do realize that I did make some spelling mistakes or grammar mistakes. So just wanted to tell you that it is important to have a very polished essay, but you don't stress too much about it because I still got into CMU with some questionable grammar mistakes, as you can tell in this essay and future essays too. So don't stress too much about it, but focus more on the big idea and also the content of this essay. And side note, this is just like a random thing that I want to say that I really liked this essay. I think it was my best essay that I've ever written, aside from my comment essay, of course. And I actually used this essay for my UC college application as well. So you can tell I put a lot of work into this. Anyways, let's move on to the second essay. Okay, so now let's move on to our second essay. And the topic is many students pursue college for a specific degree, career opportunity, or personal goal. Whichever it may be, learning will be critical to achieve your ultimate goal. As you think ahead to the process of learning during your college years, how will you define a successful college experience? 300 word oh my gosh, 300 word maximum. Sorry guys. Okay, so let's start. After school on Fridays, my friends and I would go to a nearby bubble tea shop, order our drinks, and catch up on the week's events. On one of these excursions, I realized that I drank all of the beverage, but there were still a lot of tapioca left. That sparked an idea in my mind, and I shared it with my friends. What if we invented straws that maintain the ratio consumed of both toppings and the beverage? It might seem like an unnecessary innovation, but as avid bubble tea enthusiasts, it was something we all subconsciously desired. This inventive spark is precisely what I envision fostering at CMU. The Sports Center's garage office space is the perfect place to understand the journey from ideation to engineering. This will give me insight into the product creation and innovation lifecycle that will prepare me to create something that can contribute to society. For students interested in building their own startup in the future, CMU offers competitions that enhance the learning experience and provides coaching along their journey. This is what success in college is for me. Finding the right people in the right environment and engaging in purpose driven activities such as entering the McGinnis Venture competition. I strive to be part of this competition, mastering the art of creating an engaging 5-minute pitch to crafting a thorough executive summary. This is where diverse ideas converge from various backgrounds and experience, a recipe for a successful college experience. This pursuit of innovation paves the way for a startup, regardless if it's as small as a straw for bubble tea or as grand as an AI transmitting brainwaves to text. Through collaboration and networking, I aim to learn from others and use this experience to breathe life into ideas, reshaping the world around us. So that was the end of my second supplementary essay. Hope you enjoyed it. Okay, so let's talk about the second essay and just do a debrief analysis, whatever you want to call it. But okay, let me find my sticky note. So to be honest, this one I had a lot of trouble writing it because essentially this is basically like a why CMU, like what makes CMU special. You need to do a lot of research essentially because the keywords here is how will you define a successful college experience? You can't be generic as in make friends, yay, have a good experience. Don't fail, I don't know, your economics courses. Like, of course, you can mention that, but be more specific. You need to research. So, for example, in my essay, I did some research. Mentioned the Swartz Center's garage office. So it's like for innovations, for entrepreneurs. So that is a specific thing that only CMU has. So when the admission officers read my essay, they know, oh, okay, so she specifically wrote this essay for CMU. It's not copy and paste because it's specific to CMU. As you can see, unlike the previous essay could be used for multiple universities. And in fact, I did use it for a lot of universities. My Grammarly essay, that's the one I'm mentioning, that I'm referring to. But yeah, so that's one of them. And also, I think now you kind of understand my writing style is I like to create like a short story. Like some of the essay prompts, like they are basically telling you to tell me a story. Don't show it to me. Like, wait, show but not tell. Oh, my bad. Don't tell me, but show me. And they mean to, tell them a story. And that's what I usually like to do. However, there are other types of essays, especially this one. This one is more research based, but I still like to start off with a small story just to hook my admission officer's attention. And that was my bubble tea addiction, the whole shenanigan. And in a way, it's a hook, but also I wanted to show the admission officers that I'm like, you know, a bit quirky. Like I'm like the typical Asian girl, who's addicted to bubble tea, but still kind of unique as in, oh, I kind of realized we have this like small inconvenience, but try to use my innovation or creativity skills, I could, make some random innovation, which is the ratio of bubble tea and tea. But yeah, so I don't have a lot to say for this essay, but in the future, if you are writing an essay like this or a similar essay about like why this school or, give me a perfect, envisioned college experience, that is basically do your research. It needs to be specific. You cannot be generic because as you can see, I did talk about, yeah, I want to meet friends. I want to, learn their perspective. I want to, build connections. I want to network. I want to, use my creativity, use my skills, and create something that could change or make an impact. And that sounds super generic, but you can use that, but you need to, include an example or weave in an example. In my case, it was the Sword Center's Garage and also the McGinnis Venture Competition. So those two, I used it as an example, and I told the admission officers what I wanted to, get from these events. And that is something that you should do as well. Okay, last essay. So, the topic is consider your application as a whole. What do you personally want to emphasize about your application for the admission committee's consideration? Highlight something that's important to you or something you haven't had a chance to share. Tell us, don't show us. No websites, please. 300-word maximum. During the pandemic lockdown, my friends and I yearned for human interactions, much like every other teenager. Yet, we weren't the only ones. Seniors were also longing for these interactions. The coordinators at the Big Project, a nonprofit organization, enlisted volunteers like myself to teach technological skills and engage in artistic activities through Zoom and WeChat, creating pathways for seniors to connect digitally with their peers and the younger generation. I propose to host a talent show, attempting to bring excitement into seniors' lives during a bleak period. I vividly remember one senior, affectionately known as Grandma Lai, whose heartfelt gratitude moved me deeply during the talent show I hosted. It had been months since she talked with others, and her genuine appreciation of the show conveyed her eagerness for the next one. Talking to her more often, I discovered little things of life that I had never thought about from a senior's perspective. Life lessons ranging from saving for retirement starts with a first paycheck to embracing your eccentric self. In other words, don't wait for old age to wear bright pink. Grandma Lai's genuine kindness extended beyond the occasion. Our conversations, which were a delightful mix of Mandarin and English, frequently devolved into random questions or sharing of personal anecdotes. The more I talked to her, the more she reminded me of my grandparents, who were also under lockdown in China. This prompted me to spend more time with my family and assist other seniors in connecting with the younger generation. Grandma Lai's ongoing presence in my life stands as a reminder of the impact small acts of kindness can have on fostering genuine human connections. This opened my eyes to the various ways of aiding others and sparked a passion in me to continue my volunteering involvement to this day. And that's it, my friends. Hopefully, you have enjoyed all three of my supplementary essays. Let's go! Last essay! Okay, so this essay, essentially, you could write whatever you want. So, I decided to talk about my volunteering experience because in my extracurriculars, if you don't know my extracurriculars, definitely check my other video out. But a huge part of my activities was actually volunteering. And as you know, a small tip, you should always quantify, always include numbers. So I have included that I volunteered up to 600 hours. 600 hours is a lot. And even though I give specifics like I volunteered at X, Y, and Z, and I did, A, B, and C at this, company or at this organization, I didn't have enough room or characters to talk about what I have learned, the connections or relationships that I have built, the self-reflection that I have done, and I guess how much the experience have impacted on me versus my actions impacting on the organization or throughout my entire community. And this was the perfect opportunity to showcase that entire, activity. And because I have volunteered for 600 hours, it's kind of hard to fit everything into, well, like within 300 words, right? So I have decided to only choose one experience and one specific story within that experience to showcase my entirety of volunteering, making an impact. So I decided to do my first experience or my first volunteering at the big project, which is during the pandemic, so around 2020, and essentially choose a I basically narrowed it down. I didn't really talk. I mean, I did talk about the events that I have created, but I focused more, or I narrowed it more down later on into the essay onto one person, which was Grandma Lai, how much that she had impacted me and how my volunteering also impacted on her, and how this entire experience, after my, reflection upon this volunteering, I decided that it really changed my perspective on volunteering and making an impact on my community. And that was the reason why I wanted to volunteer or help others out in my community because of this experience. So it kind of explains why, I loved volunteering. I had like a bunch of volunteer experiences, volunteered close to 600 hours. It's because of this first occurrence. And this is something special because I wanted to say, like, your first is always the most special, one, right? So essentially, it was this, and this essay essentially served as a self-reflection. I wanted to show my admission officers that I am very reflective, and I wanted to make a huge impact. But there's always like a backstory behind making an impact on my community, right? And I wanted to show this backstory of how one person changed me, even though I'm supposed to be the one who should be impacting on her life, right? Because I'm the volunteer, but it's a mutual way. So I want to share that volunteering is not a one-way thing; it's both ways. So yeah, hopefully that helped you. My analysis, honestly, I feel like half the time I'm rambling, but hopefully this was useful for you. And yeah. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe as the next video will be on the 10 tips of writing any essays from Common App to supplementary essays. So yeah, see you guys in the next video.